Hi, everybody. Jeff Moore here again to talk a little bit more, do a little bit of a showcase on some artificial intelligence and its uses in educational leadership. A little bit of a story up front. We, in my district, I work in New York State. And really, if you work anywhere in the United States, you have access most likely to a state website that has a ton of data about all the schools in the state. And you can drill down really easily and find information about an individual district or an individual school. But if you want to do comparisons across districts or even across schools, even if they're in the same district, sometimes that's real difficult. And you often have to then download tons and tons of spreadsheets, 30, 40 data files, sometimes access databases to bring all that data together and do the analysis that you want to do. We, in my district, we had a service. We contracted with a company that gave us a website that brought all that state data together and allowed you to do that analysis and create graphs, and it was fantastic. I was used to, having been in New Jersey for a long time, downloading all that stuff and doing that on my own. This was a great service. Sadly, they had to shut their shop down, and it's a shame. I wish them the best. They were a great group of folks to work with, and it was a really valuable service that once it was gone, we were left without a tool. And I was sort of facing that prospect of, well, gosh, I can download these 40 files again like I used to do, and I don't know. It was a lot. So I got to thinking, well, maybe Claude Code can help me replicate this service, and none of the data here is secret. It's all publicly available. There's nothing classified here. And the value in comparison is pretty significant. And it's not just, oh, we're better or not as good as they are. That's not what it's about. It's about, well, we've identified a weakness, and we want to find other districts that have a strength in that area. So how do we do those comparisons that lead to good, strong collaboration with our peers across the state? That's the real value of it, and doing it within a common field of data. I mean, that's what collective impact is all about. Ultimately, is that we all have the same data points. So if we're using iReady and some other district is using Star Renaissance or some other system or assessment, then it's hard to compare. But when we all have the same data, it's a lot easier to make those contacts and start talking about, well, what are you doing to help those kids? So here we are. I want to introduce you to Datadog, which I've built out of necessity, but I'm really proud of it. And you can see the breadth of information that we get from the state, about 600 data points in all those files across thousands of schools and districts. And then you have, when you put all that together over multiple years, you have 58 million data points. Pretty mind-boggling. And it's all sitting behind this website, ready to be sliced and diced and analyzed and graphed. So let's take a look. Let me go into the data workshop here. And what you can see are all the different data points, the buckets of data points that are available. And if we, you can see there are 100 that have to do with graduation rate and outcomes. Here they all are. Assessments is a big one with 70. So really all you need to do is just drag data points over. So there's our districts with their grade 3 scale scores in ELA. I can drag over grade 4. You can do some comparison. I can go to a different year and start comparing year over year. I can sort, I can select, I can show down to the school level if I want to. So here's districts with schools. You can see this is the grade 3 test. So we're going to turn off the blanks, all those middle schools and high schools. So now we're just looking at the elementary schools that took the test. I can find my district, work in Mamaroneck. Again, nothing secret in here. It's all public data, and neat stuff. I can drag over, let's go to districts. I can drag over a calculated field that gives me things like there are some built-in calculations like z-score and average and change over time. I'm going to code up a custom calculated field where you could type in a formula that references columns like you do in Excel, so that you could do your own arithmetic on here. So really kind of powerful stuff. You can filter in different ways down to, I don't want to see that district. So you turn it off and now it's gone. So lots of cool stuff. The real power comes as you bring those calculated fields in and you start doing more complicated things. And I could walk you through all that, but I want to show you where the AI comes in. So here's Scout. Scout's actually the name of one of my dogs here at home, and if you're lucky enough, you'll hear him bark. He and his sister Skylar are quite stimulated these days because our air conditioner is on the fritz, and so all the windows are open, and so they are just barking at everything. So pardon in advance if we get interrupted. So I have something in the clipboard here that I want to drop in for Scout to do, and we'll hit send. Now this is on my home server downstairs, so it's pretty snappy usually, but the AI can sometimes get bogged down. So what I'm asking it to do here is to create a similarity score. That's one of our calculated fields in which the system takes different data points and smashes them together into kind of one fingerprint, one single score, and it uses that score then to kind of gauge how similar districts are to each other. So I've asked Scout to give me a similarity score based on several different data points. I want to get a sense of who are the like districts, who are the districts like mine, and sort that chart descending so that we'll get at the top like the most similar. So Scout's come back and said, yep, I did it. It made the decision to use percentages instead of raw counts. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to hit apply. And here we go. Let me close Scout and we'll expand this over here too. So we can see everything. So it didn't sort it. That's interesting. So I'm going to sort it manually. And there we go. There's Mamaroneck at the top. Mamaroneck is 100% similar to itself, and then it goes down. So you can see, across all these data points, how similar, and it goes all the way down through 700 and some districts. I want to grab ours, and then maybe like the top dozen or so. We'll go down to a peer group of a dozen. We'll go Baker's dozen. So we've got, and you can see they're all ranked. Now, one interesting thing you can do here is I can edit. You can weight these differently. So if I want to kind of make enrollment a heavier thing, like I really want districts that are similar size as mine, then you can bump up the enrollment and then bump down the others so that it all close that, cancel. So got a neat thing here. I want to make a graph. So I'm going to show only these entities. There they are, those 13. And we're going to send all this information over to our graphing module. Boom. Okay, so what it's given us is, and it chose economically disadvantaged as the number to show on this graph. It just kind of chooses something. So here are our 13 districts, and you can see they are significantly different. So noting that maybe going 13 was maybe a bit too high, I might want to weight the economically disadvantaged rate a little higher. That's something that I notice could be a way to improve the similarity on this graph, but it depends on what's important to you. So what I really want to do though is take a look at how these districts compare. We had that grade 3 ELA test earlier. I just brought that onto the docket here, and I'm going to change the bottom axis. We'll go count on the left axis, and then on the bottom axis we'll go grades 3 to 8, and then we'll turn that into a histogram. So here we've got a histogram which takes the scores and chunks them up, the score span, chunks it up on the bottom, and then the number of districts along the left-hand side, and gives you kind of a curve of what these 13 districts look like. And if I want to highlight my own district, we'll recolor it. So Mamaroneck sits within this bar. So we do pretty well. And we're looking at all students. So when we look at all students in grade 3 and 24-25, and we look at like districts, noting that we might want to fine tune that group a little bit based on some of the span there that we saw in a couple of the data points, we score on the higher end of the curve. If I look at just students who are not economically disadvantaged, we move up a little bit even. But there are certainly among these demographics some groups that sit closer to the bottom of the curve, on the other side of the curve. And what that tells me is that for some groups of students, other districts are doing a better job meeting their needs, offering supports. Could be functions of culturally responsive education. It could be MTSS, more effective MTSS systems. It could be a whole manner of things. But what I would want to do is if I saw us over here with any particular group, then I'd want to reach out to the schools over here and start talking about, what we might learn from each other. That's, again, collective impact. That's how that works with common data points across the field. So this is really powerful as a tool. But Scout can come in here as well. So let's say I'm done with the histogram and I want to tell Scout, give me a line graph showing grade 3 ELA mean score across the 3 years. We'll go 2022, 23, 2023, 24. 2024, 25. I don't think I have to be that specific, but the more specific you are with AI, generally the better results you get. So I'm going to hit send and we'll see what happens. So Scout's going to chew on that for a second. It's good. I'm distracting him from people walking down the sidewalk here in front of our house. He's not going to bark at them. He's busy making a line graph. That was quick though. So let's see. Yes. And here we are. So we have a nice line graph that shows how these 13 districts over the course of those 3 years did. And what's interesting, that dip in 23-24, that was, if I'm not mistaken, I've only been in New York for a couple of years, but one of the things people talk about is when grades began doing computer-based testing and seeing a dip in those years. So that's something to examine there. But kids recovered fairly quickly. Now, different tests every year, but we do, we get sort of judged from an accountability perspective on multi-year performance. So we have to be able to look at it that way as well. And I can, show data labels. I can turn off the legends, although that's hard to make anything of unless I highlight our district. So there we are, so turn that legend back on. Recoloring it here wouldn't really matter. It wouldn't really do anything. But because they're already all different colors, but fading it does a nice job. So here is this system. Again, AI helped me build it, but AI also enters the system as a feature that helps you analyze. I can ask analytical questions. I can ask it to adjust this graph, show me a trend line here or there. Like, it'll do all of that stuff. I can export these graphs for, say, board presentations or to share with other folks. I'm working on a feature in the system that allows you to share a graph with another user in the system. And since these graphs, the engine behind them is just works on formatted text, it's really easy to share these things. And here we are. So this is Datadog, and this is how we moved with AI, with the help of AI, from a difficult situation with the loss of a service that we had grown really attached to now, being able to replicate these services. And while we loved working with them, it's kind of an interesting prospect that I'm not beholden to some other service, that if there's an improvement I want to make, I just go in and make it. So thanks for watching. That is our showcase for today. And again, my name is Jeff Moore. And if you have any questions or other cool things that you've done, reach out. Thanks.